Welcome everybody, my name is Mr. Llama, and today I'm bringing you a TVP. This is going to be between Colgoswser spawning down the bottom right hand corner, and it looks like he played random today. He is a Zerg player, as I'm sure many of you know. He is a Zerg Grandmaster player, very good player. And yeah, so I guess he's trying out the random and going to be getting T or Terran today, and he is going up against JCKE. I guess that looks like Joke, so I'm going to call him Joke. I hope I'm not offending him at all. And he is your red Protoss spawning down the bottom left hand corner. The map is Antigua Shipyard, and with random, of course, this will force you to go ahead and open up with that wall in first off. Secondly, it's going to force you to open up with a gateway. And this is, you know, as opposed to if you were playing, let's say, Colgoswser random Zerg, well then of course he could open up with his typical Forge Fast Expand style, whatever there. But with that random, now he has to open up with this gateway, and it's not going to hurt him too much because he is just playing against a Terran player, so, you know, not the worst thing in the world. He's just going to, you know, have his pylon a little bit more towards the front, which, you know, isn't terrible. And look at this, Colgoswser already throwing down the barracks way away from there, and gonna continue with SCV production. So it looks like he's just trying to hide that barracks. It is going to be in range, of course, of this watchtower, but I don't know if we're even going to see Joke go out there and try and scout that. Or are we going to see Colgoswser try and throw down any additional barracks? Doesn't look like it thus far. He says 11-11 versus Protoss, so I don't think he counted. Okay, there's 11 probes, but I mean, there's not any building the barracks, so not really an 11-11 had he really counted the probes right there. But anyways, looks like we are going to see Joke continue on to just go ahead and get his gas, get his gate up. We'll see what he does if he's a little scared of this 11-11, if he actually thinks there is an 11-11. Which, I mean, of course, there's not. As we can see, there's just one barracks. He's just putting it out of the way. Gonna just do a typical one-racks FE, but catching his opponent off guard, who is just running around everywhere trying to figure out where this second barracks is, where the first barracks is, and he is going to immediately be throwing down a second gateway. So already moving into, at the very least, a 2-gate expand, if not a, you know, 3-gate expand, maybe just 3-gate robo. Maybe he'll just try and play off of this one base for a while. We'll have to see exactly what he does decide, as Colgoswser finally figures out, okay, my opponent's down the bottom left, and we'll even scout there. Yeah, so he will send the SCV down there, and the Stalker is not going to be out in time, it looks like, so the SCV should be able to get up the ramp. That's going to be very close, though. Oh, actually going for the block, so 3 gateways right off the bat. We see a bunker coming down, we see the barracks being floated over. We're going to have Colgoswser just try and set up this little wall right here, maybe get an additional bunker fairly soon. Yes, the SCV does poke through, sees the 3 gateways, sees the 1 gas, and says, you know what, this looks like a 4-gate. If I've ever seen one. And will he throw down the 4th gateway? He does throw down a 3rd pylon in the base, so that right there is a little bit different. He wasn't chrono boosting the Cybernetics core as well, but I mean, with these 3 gates, he's definitely gonna have to do some pressure. As you can see, Colgoswser already has his expansion taken, so additional barracks being thrown down. Definitely something I've seen a lot of Terran players do, just getting that quick second racks right there. And here's all the bunkers, and this is why I said 4-gate incoming, and that's exactly what he sees, because you get in, there's still some energy on the Nexus. Sure, there wasn't a chrono boost here, but he might have just been in between boost, and then he saw 3 gates and only 2 pylons. So that right there was a pretty, that's exactly what you'd kind of think it was. But of course, when you have all of these bunkers up, you should be completely fine. Each Marine gets his own bunker, and of course they can turn around and give each other bunkers. And we're gonna have Joke try and get in, try and scout. Did he actually scout? Yes, he did. So he was able to see the orbital. So that's good news for him. He can now expand. So he's just going to do a 3-gate expand instead of going for an all-in right there. And he's additionally going to try and break down these rocks, which I think is a good choice. Sure, later on, the Terran player is going to enjoy that. Wow, look at Colgoswser, so scared at this point, continuing to throw down bunkers. I almost feel like he's joking with the amount of bunkers that he has. And look at this, still no gas, just now grabbing refineries. So Colgoswser investing a ton into bunkers at this point. That's like 700 minerals, and I want to say he's thrown away all of the lead that he's had with having this orbital up. Maybe not all of it, And it's not really thrown away, of course. You can salvage all these bunkers, but of course you have the build time for each one from an SCV. So a lot of minerals lost right there, and they're actually even on workers. And the Nexus should be finishing up fairly shortly here. So Colgoswser investing a ton into defense, really scared of some sort of all-in coming here, as he does see these 4 bunkers going up. And will one of them go down? Yes, it looks like it will. So not even gonna get the salvage on that one. Very nice job by Joke. Just to, go ahead and poke forward, do some pressure. He does have a pylon here if he does choose to warp in a little bit more and maybe go for some 3-gate aggression a little later. But then again, why would you even consider poking in against 6 bunkers? You wouldn't, right? Like, it just wouldn't really make sense. So Colgoswser just going to continue to add all of these units to his bunkers. A very nice micro right here by Joke, just being annoying as possible. And will he get the salvage off on that bunker? It's going to be very close. Looks like he will. And finally Colgoswser says, okay, I've had enough. I'm just going to start pushing down. I've got my gas up. I might be adding tech labs shortly, maybe. A lot of money. Look at the salvages. Double command center going down right there. So now Colgoswser knows, you know what? There's not any aggression. He probably just expanded back home. Has he even scouted that? Yes, he has. So he went ahead and dropped a scan, it looks like, right over here. So the expansion, now he's going to push out with these Marines. Need to just be careful, though. First off, of course, he can get force-fielded and just kind of stuck up here. But secondly, of course, there are these Stalkers, which can just kite. But that is a lot of Marines. Joke is pretty good with this micro. And there we go. Is he going to be able to get a sentry? One sentry does go down, but a lot of Marines is the cost. I don't know about that attack. Colgoswser, and he's not even going to get a second one. And he just continues to press with those Marines, and so he's going to be losing all of these Marines to the Stalkers as they chase back. Horrible, horrible loss right there for Colgoswser. So not all of them, it looks like, but a majority of those will fall. He's going to try and get back whatever he can. Still not much that he has back home. Here we see that the tech lab finally going down. So he'll finally be able to get combat shields, get stim, get whatever. He's continuing to adding on more barracks, adding on this factory with the starport, of course, so we can start teching up some medevacs. And additionally, he's going to have to start teching up 2 Vikings, because we see the robotics bay is down right here for Joke. So Joke's going to be able to get those Colossus out, head on over, and do a lot of damage if he wishes. And Colgoswser, who had an initial advantage, was super safe, lost a lot of it, probably got back to even, and then got aggressive with Marines without upgrades, without stim, without combat shields versus Stalker Sentry. Lost a lot of those, and I mean, not his best game by far, but look at Colgoswser being the most ridiculous Terran player in the world. He's already up to 5 command centers at this point. Orbital commands, I might add, so he can just mass up these mules and just start pumping out some serious units. But I mean, his opponent Joke knows all about this except for one, so he sees the 2 additional expansions at least, and he probably knows that's aggressive. We'll have to see if he's going to try and make some sort of 2-base push happen, possibly with the 1-1 and a couple Colossus out. That could be a magical timing right there, as Colgoswser really does not have too much, just has this small little armor right here. But I mean, of course, he does have medevacs at the very least, so he can start pushing over towards his opponent's base, doing some drops maybe. I'm just trying to be annoying as possible. Whatever exactly, Terran players like to do around that point that they get medevacs. And here it looks like he's going to start pushing across the map, but I mean, the Colossus in the base yet to be scouted as well. The 2-2 going to be on the way, so he will be going for a timing, I'm going to imagine, with this 2-2. I don't see any reason why not. Here we see Colgoswser fake a little push up, just baiting out a couple of force fields. Very nicely done. In the meantime, he can, of course, take his third behind this and go ahead and drop a bunch of mules and make a lot of SCVs if he really wants. As we see, he should be gaining. Oh, wow, he is so far behind in the worker count. So it looks like his macro was a little bit off there for a while, and he did not have a lot of SCVs, only making 2 SCVs at a time despite having the 5 command centers. So very, very, very surprising. You would expect, even though he is a Zerg player, I will give him that, you would expect that he'd at least have the fundamentals for making mass SCVs very quickly. So now up to at least 4 SCVs at a time, and we see the 3rd base going down for Joke. And like I said, I'd really like to see him start to kind of push now that he has these 2 Colossus. Once this 2-2 finishes and he has a 3rd Colossus out, I think it would be a great time. And here it looks like he might push, but he has to be careful as Colgoswser has a decent sized army at this point. A scan will go down, so he does see exactly what the Protoss opponent has. Not going to be favorable to really try and push up that ramp right there. And instead, we're going to see Joke push out and do a little bit of damage on his own. Gets a nice force field, able to trap about 4 or 5 units right there, and they're going to be just wiped off the map completely. No chance whatsoever. So Colgoswser now finally catching up in the harvester count. Is going to be able to... Ooh, and with that factory going down, of course, there's only going to be 1 starport on the field. And if he wants to get an additional starport, he'll have to make another factory. Oh, 2. Okay, so he did start one just before it did die off right there. And here we have to be careful. Colgoswser accidentally picking up more force fields. He decides to stim behind the force field, so at least they're blocking out some of the zealots that are trying to push forward there, but I don't know if it's gonna be enough for Colgoswser. So much damage. Those Colossus are just raining down terror from behind. And it's going to be a walk up this ramp at this point for Joke. He can do so much damage right here. And we see Colgoswser just retreating into his base at this point. Needs to build up more of an army. Needs to get more Vikings out. Can he even push down the ramp? No, he cannot. There's going to be some force fields on the ramp right there. And Colgoswser's in a tough time. Catches him before the +2 attack upgrade finishes. Ghost Academy is done. But I don't think he even has any ghost in his army. And another force field goes down. So Colgoswser just in a terrible position at this point. As you can see, he's pretty much down to these bases right here. He's got a couple extra command centers randomly, but that's not going to do too much. The supply is 40 supply in the favor of our Protoss opponent right now. Joke, I'm going to go busy really quickly. And now we see that we're going to have Joke start pushing up the front right here. Some Vikings, I mean, there's a decent sized army still for Colgoswser, so he could actually possibly push back this army right here. It looks like that's might be what he's going to do, and just wait for it to start advancing. There we go. It will start advancing up. There is a force field though, so he can go ahead and drop that, and the medic Vex are just going to go ahead and start healing up as much as they can at this point. Joke going to continue to reinforce with a couple of units, I think. But might as well force it off the ramp and then just go kill off the 3rd base, because hey, you know what, why not? And he's actually reinforcing back home, so I don't believe there was a drop here, but I guess this is his closest pylon. Yeah, so he did not bring a forward probe to drop a forward pylon, just going to go ahead and reinforce back there. Here we see Colgoswser starting to push out. He still has a decent sized army, but he's going to stim very early, start moving his way over, trying to catch that army off guard. He does have the Vikings, which are starting to focus down the Colossus, so 1 Colossus does go down. He has a lot of Vikings actually, so if he focus fires, he could pick all 3 of those off, and that would definitely decrease the value there of Joke's army. And here we see is actually going to be able to pick it off. Yes, he will. 3 Colossus go down. Will Colgoswser be able to turn this around? He's going to have to micro these back a little bit, get out of the way of all of those zealots. The Vikings take out that final Colossus. Colgoswser basically down to whatever he has at this point. He's going to go ahead and have to retake his expansion if he wants a little later. Nice kiting right here. Going to be able to prevent all of these zealots from doing too much damage, and actually kill a lot of them off. The Blink Stalkers though doing so much damage, able to tear away at all of the medevacs, and with the reinforcing zealots right here, it looks like Joke says, whew, lagged through that, so having a little bit of lag troubles possibly. And now Colgoswser is really going to be in a tough position. He has 9 Vikings right here, so he was massing up his Viking production, but unfortunately did not make enough units, or wasn't even able to really. Didn't have very much economy, and Joke just going to push straight through with the Zealots, with the Stalkers. Colgoswser has pretty much nothing left at this point, and GG from Colgoswser, who, I guess, you know, trying out Terran, okay, but definitely has a better Zerg. Regardless, very well played there by Joke. Nice reaction, you know. He went ahead and took the lead. Even though he was over there, he was scared of an 11-11. He threw down 3 gateways. He eventually got there with the Stalkers poked up, saw an expansion, said, you know what, I can expand. I can go ahead and macro up. I've been working on my upgrades. Has that 3-3 almost done already. I mean, very well done by Joke. Able to take out Colgoswser's Terran. My name is Mr. Llama. I hope you guys enjoyed this cast, and I will see you guys next time.